from Liverpool John Moores University. Well, having a career full of tremendous development and success is something we all aspire for. Sir has worked in the government sector for 15 years with an excellent track record in developing and managing projects. He has not only worked for the government of Rajasthan, but also for the government of India, the UN, EU, the World Bank, and other national and international organizations. I'm sure that this ignites our minds to hear from the man full of learning experiences and wisdom himself. Yes, today he will enlighten us all about career opportunities and advise us on how to excel in professional life. I, on the behalf of entire JCRC family, heartedly welcome Mr. Manushukla sir in this illuminating session. Sir, it's our extreme pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining in and bestowing us your previous time. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shruti. I hope I'm visible and audible to all of you. All right, thank you. Yes, it's wonderful to be here. And after a very long time, I'm talking to a big batch of students. I used to mentor a lot of startups way long back, around 3 years back. At that point of time, I used to have these conversations. So it's a little nostalgic for me to have such a conversation. I'm hopeful this is going to be useful to all of you. My name is Manushukla. I head strategies for public sector for Amazon Web Services in India. Now, before we initiate this discussion, I'm not really keen to give you a long, big speech or anything. I'll prefer for this to be an interactive session. Any number of questions that you have, I'll be very, very happy to answer these. I hope English is a comfortable language for everyone. If in case you want me to switch language to Hindi, very happy to do that as well. But before we start, may I know how many of the 432 people that I see on this Zoom call are the prospective computer science engineering students? All right, so 44, 45 and counting. I'm still seeing how many hands are going to be going up. 55, 56, 66. Huh. 89, 88, 89. Let's, oh, the number is still going up. Okay. All right, to the 99 to 101 participants that was going plus and minus, let me give you a fun fact before we start this conversation. When I joined this Zoom call today, I could see another Manushukla from AWS being there on the list. Now, can you imagine that being a surprise to me? Anyway, as we start the conversation, I'll first give you a brief about my career and how the journey has been for me, and then I'll be very happy to take some questions from all of you. I started working way back in the year 2006. I started with the United Nations program called the UN Habitat. This was to take care of how education-related initiatives at the last mile are going to be implemented. Did that for a period of around 1.5 years. Moved to another implementation by the World Bank, which was called the NRDWP. Then subsequently moved to another institution called the European Commission, actually, for an implementation called the Integrated Water Resources Management. Both these initiatives were primarily to look at how technology and planning is going to be useful for water-related initiatives at the last mile. And this is when I joined the government full-time. I started working with the government of Rajasthan as I was on deputation from the government of India here, to take care of how technology-related transformations are going to be happening and how we are going to be able to make Rajasthan the #1 state in information technology, and fortunately did a lot of good work at that point of time. If in case any one of you is from Jaipur and you have seen the Techno Hub, it is in the Jalana institutional area. That's an incubation acceleration center that I created, government created. I used to manage and handle that. And then subsequently, I also used to take care of startup promotion for the state of Rajasthan for around 2 years. we had some great initiatives that we created for startups at that point in time, a venture capital fund that we had created, and then subsequently also created a unique, one of its kind single window for startups. A phenomenal journey at that point in time. And then subsequently, I moved to the government of India. Uh, at that During that, my association with the government of India was for a period of around 2 years. I used to head IT and strategies for Ayushman Bharat. If you have heard of it, Ayushman Bharat is the universal healthcare program that the government of India has created. I used to implement it across the entire country, and then I wrote the National Digital Health Mission strategy, and then got it implemented across 6 union territories. And that's when I left, and that's when Amazon happened. Now, before we start about Amazon, I have a second question to ask, and I know there are some hands being raised, and I'll leave that to Riddhi. Whenever you feel it is appropriate to answer questions, I'll be very happy to do that. You can take a lead there. Uh, how many of the people in here, and I'm not really just talking about the computer sciences students in here, I'm talking to every one of the 424 participants other than me on the call. How many of you would like to be an Amazonian in the future? Again, some quick hand raise. I'm happy to see that the numbers are going quickly up this time. All right, we have 138 and counting. Very, very nice. Let the number keep on going up, and I'll till the time the numbers are going up, let me tell you why did I ask you that question. It's because the reason that I can tell you, and not because I am there. I've just completed around 1 year at Amazon, but I can tell you it's the most phenomenal place to be at. If in case you would really want to do some transformational work, you really want to bring the change, and you want to be the change, Amazon is really the place to be. Now, I'll tell you how did that journey happen. Now, a lot of people ask me this question is on why did I join Amazon? Why did I leave the government and move from the public sector to the private sector? It's actually because of impact. Now, while you are starting your career now, you're going to be doing your different degrees and courses that you're going to be doing from your university. With time, you're going to be also evaluating what is it that you would like to achieve in life. Now, what I want to achieve in life and what do I want to focus on? My word is impact. I really want to make that impact at the last mile, how I'm going to be able to make people's lives better at the last mile. And despite being a software engineer turned an enterprise architect, I'm working into a role which is primarily focusing on how people's lives is going to be made better. And that's where that obsession around customers, around people at the last mile comes in. So you have to really find out that word for you on what is it that you want to achieve. And that's going to be defining how you are supposed to be taking your journey ahead at an organization like Amazon or others. But do remember that whenever you're finalizing what is it that you want to achieve, it should really bring the positive, that change that you would like to bring forward. Money making is one of the 100 reasons why we want to do a job or we want to become entrepreneurs. I'm sure a lot of you would like to become an entrepreneur as well. But then what's the impact that we are creating across the entire world is a very, very important thing that we should remember. And that's going to be creating the base to you finalizing what is it that you want to achieve and what is it that you want to take away, other than learnings that you're going to be getting from your classes at the university. And that's exactly how my journey at Amazon happened. Because I was working at a national program, I was seeing across how the implementations in healthcare are going to be happening and how digital healthcare for India is going to be written and taken forward. But then what I also wanted to focus on was how is this impact going to be taken forward to the next level, on how India's successes can be taken forward to the entire world. These are very small things to look at, but I don't know if in case you have ever perceived this, that with India creating such a brilliant infrastructure as Aadhaar, wherein everyone has got a biometric digital identity available, shouldn't there be a digital identity across all the countries for all the people? How do we do that? We have a PAN card in India. How can the entire world have, every country, and I'm talking of not just developed countries, all the developing countries, all the underdeveloped countries have these technology infrastructures being available to them? How can we ensure that people at the last mile are going to be having knowledge about technologies like a lot of you already do and you are going to be getting from the university? How does the entire world get to know about that? So how do we create that larger, bigger impact is how this entire story of me joining Amazon happened. And I mean, specifically Amazon Web Services. My job at Amazon Web Services is to look at how transformational changes, how government transformation initiatives, and how public sector transformation is going to be happening. And how can Amazon Web Services help or support institutions across the entire world have the government transformation or the technology transformation journey or the governance transformation journey, as we call it? How can they go about it, and how can we help them do that? So yeah, that's what I do at Amazon. It has been a great journey in here. And this is where it is very important for you to have some thoughts on your mind, because see, every success that you're going to be having, or every perceived failure that's going to be having, every high or every low that's going to be you're going to be having during your courses, you're going to be learning during those phases. And I can challenge you there, and I can dare you to continue to use your unique talents everywhere. Wherever you are learning new things, in your classes, outside your classes, seeing around what is it that's going on, where you are going to be showing up, that's going to be taken forward everywhere. It's not just going to be in your classes, it is going to be on the streets, it is going to be on the conference rooms that you're going to be sitting into, in the labs that you are going to be into, in the offices that you will subsequently go to, in the neighborhood that you is going to be having around you, in the actions that you're going to be having, and most importantly, in your head and in your heart, you're going to be bringing forward that change with you. There's a very interesting quote, and I really like sharing this quote during my interactions. I used to say this a lot to all the startups that I used to talk to, and I'm going to be sharing exactly the same quote with you as well. And this is something that John F. Kennedy said, that few are going to be having greatness to bend history, but each one of us can work to change a small portion of the events, and in total of all these acts will be the written history of this generation. Each time you're going to be standing up for an idea or act to improve the lot of others, or strike out against anything which is wrong or injustice, you are sending forth a tiny ripple of hope and crossing over others from millions of different centers of energy and daring. Those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest of the walls of oppression and resistance. So you are the one who's going to be bringing forward the change. We keep on looking at what's the change. You don't have to see the change, you have to be that change. And this is exactly what you are to reaffirm. You are the keepers of this whole great Indian dream that we have of how we are going to be the world leader. How is that going to be happening? It's with the work that you are going to be doing. Every time that you're going to be taking forward the lessons from JCRC, you're going to be honoring and learning and committing to carry forward this success with you to the next step in the journey that you're going to be on. Being an entrepreneur, being into a job, being the person that you are. Every time that you're going to be overcoming adversity, and we all have been doing that over the last 2 years, every time you make a decision, you are going to be moving towards how you are going to be making lives of you and many others a better thing to be. And this is why we need a lot of courage in learning. Your university is going to be teaching you a lot more than just classroom. It is going to be telling you how your life is supposed to be. It is going to be telling you how you are supposed to be creating your journey and moving ahead on that. And every time you're going to be having courage, it is going to be much more contagious than fear. And I can tell you that this is one learning that I'd like to share with you. Fear is very contagious. When we are in classrooms and we are discussing, oh my God, I have to complete this engineering drawing sheet by tomorrow. I don't know if in case I'm going to be able to do that. Trust me, you have to have courage, and that is going to be much more contagious. When you say that you're going to be able to do this, you're going to be seeing that everyone else is also going to be saying that we are going to be able to do this. Every time you're going to be seizing the moment that life is going to be giving you, you will see that there's an opportunity that lies out there. Most importantly, every time you're going to be living this experience that you're going to be having at JCRC, you're going to be reaffirming that you are made for a moment like this. And this is going to be happening over the entire course of the learnings that you're going to be having. Every now and then you'll think, is this what I'm made for? And these are the moments that are going to be creating the real learning. By accepting this course, you have already started to move towards a journey. All you have to do is you have to acknowledge that this is what you are called to do, and to expand that ripple of hope that I was talking of. and how you are going to be bringing forward that change. Now, if it is impact that you want to achieve, if it is the change that you want to achieve, if in case you want to be that change, and how to go about it, you really have to trust your own instincts and also the learnings that you're going to be getting at your college. And, I still remember my college days, and this was way back in 2006 to 2010 when I did my engineering. In the first year of my engineering, I used to think that, I'm going to be a software engineer and this is what I want to do in a company like an X or a Y or a Z. By the time I was in the second year, I thought that no, software engineer is not what I want to be. I want to design products. By the time I was in my third year, I used to think that no, I'm going to be becoming an entrepreneur and I'm going to be starting an initiative of my own. And by my fourth year, I thought that I want to be an enterprise architect. Now, it's not that the other ideas were not right. It's just that, did I really dive deep enough onto any of the ideas and realize if in case that's what I want to do or not, is what I'm trying to put across to all of you. Just dive deep. You have to double click on the thoughts that you have and get complete clarity. And if in case there's one thing that I would request all of you to inculcate in your daily culture, is that don't just let go. Don't be superficial on anything. You have doubts, ask them 100 times. Don't feel bad about it. I know it is a lot of times that this happens, and this is especially happening in college life that we all go through. You'll feel that if in case you're asking a lot of questions, someone's going to be saying, oh my God, he asked so many questions. Be it. Ask those questions. Because in the longer run, asking those questions is going to be bringing you the clarity, which is going to be creating that change. For you to be the change, I'm saying that for the third time, be that change. You have thoughts onto your mind, don't be afraid to share them out. Ask them out. When you have to evaluate, there was a deflection between 142 to 138 people. How many people want to be an Amazonian? I'll tell you how to be an Amazonian. We follow very, very strong leadership principles at our organization. There are 16 of them. We live by those principles. Read about those principles. You'll know how to be an Amazonian. I don't really have to tell you. It's a very, very standard process. And the most important part out there is how do we take ownership of our thoughts, is how we are going to be customer obsessed, of how we are going to be diving deep, of how we are going to be disagreeing and then committing to it, of how we are going to be ensuring that we are the change. We have to ensure that we are doing all of it. And it's only you who's going to be able to do that. Rather than me keeping on telling you this, I'll take a pause in here. I just wanted to tell you that it's a very easy journey to be on if in case you have clarity in your mind on what is the path that you want to move ahead with. I can only tell you, to this entire batch who's in here, my best wishes to you and congratulations that you have selected a great college, a great university, a great course that you are being there with. I can only say that the fate of the world is in your hands, and I'm pretty confident that it is going to be a better place because of you. You just have to ensure that you're going to be making your mind right. You have to have those right thoughts. You just have to go forth and do great things. Just do remember that you're made for those great things. And I'd like to make this more interactive. I'm very happy to answer questions. So I'll take a pause in here. Riddhi, rather than me going on with a long speech to give, I'll take a pause in here. Very happy to take questions from everyone. Any thoughts that anyone has. And if in case you disagree, you can just tell me right now that, you said this, I want to disagree with this. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
We're open to hear from all of you.
Yeah, hi Riddhi. I'm sorry, actually I'm interrupting you. And Manu sir, I just want to tell you that Riddhi is soon going to, start her professional journey in AWS only. She has recently placed with AWS with a package of 44 lakh rupees. I'm sure that she won't tell you. And this is the biggest reason why I wanted Riddhi to moderate this session. So big congratulations, Riddhi.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Many congratulations, Riddhi. And yes, I'm not supposed to be knowing your package.
Okay, Riddhi, please continue.
Okay, so I would request people who are going to want to ask questions, please raise your hand so that I can unmute you.
Okay, I request students, if you want to really ask a question, then you have to, start your video first.
Aditya Sharma, please on your video and then you can ask your question.
Hi, sir. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Manu. So thanks a lot for that lecture. So I heard it throughout, and the whole point of it was that you were focusing a lot on being the change, right? So my question overall is that there is a lot of courage that requires to be the change, because it's a huge thing. Okay, and being in your third year, fourth year, you were saying that you changed it every year, almost every year. You were thinking about different things to do with your life. Okay, so even right now, I have a few options to think about. After I go to college, I'll have a few more options to think about. So back in 2010, there weren't those many options, right? Okay, you had a limit to how much you could know about them. But right now, there are so many. I'm like 90% of the time, I'm confused between at least three or four. So how do you suggest I go with all that confusion? How do I get through that? Because it's hectic, like all the time getting to know about even all those things. Even if I subscribe to six newsletter letters a day, every seventh day they discuss a different career option with me. I don't know. It just keeps coming. It just keeps coming, and I'm thoroughly confused about all this, and I don't have a way to go with it. I just hope you have something to say about it.
All right. Thank you very much for your question, Aditya. And let me put some perspective out there to you, starting with how many options were there in 2010. Every 10 years, there's a generation change in terms of what's the next 10 years for, what's the next decade for. The 2000 to 2010 decade was for technology, 2010 to 2020 is for knowledge, and 2020 to 2030 is going to be for impact and change. Now, I said this during what I was telling all of you, is that your decision making is supposed to be largely based on data, on how are you double clicking onto an idea. If in case you are diving deep enough to understand more about the question or the option that you have. So let's say you're confused between the four options. Why just those four and why not the other 40 is because of some thoughts that you have on your mind that this is why I want to select between these four. Of those four, continue diving deep further. You're going to be finding out all the rights and wrongs about them. If in case you're going to be spreading yourself too thin, it is never going to be ending. Not just four, you're going to be landing up with 400,000 options and you're not going to be able to make a selection out of them. But whatever 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 or 100 options that you are going ahead with, that you want to select one from, you just have to dive deep. Rather than spreading yourself thin wide, just go deep. Please try to know more about that specific topic. And you are going to be getting some green tick marks and some red cross marks on every single thing. And on basis of that, you will be able to take a decision on what excites you the most. And as far as being the change is concerned, you are going to be the change irrespective of whatever you are going to be doing. Now, how impactful that change is going to be is on basis of the selections that you're going to be making in your life. And, there's no absolute to it. So, if something that's left to me is going to be right to you, something that's not to me is going to be of south to you. But what's north to you and what's left to you, if in case you want to do that north and left, do you want to give your 100% to it or not, is what's really going to be creating that impact for you being able to select what is it that you want to do. So again, my suggestion there to you is going to be, it's not the number of options that you're confused between, it's the number of options that you have double clicked enough on. And if in case you don't have enough data points on anything, try to reach out. We don't really have to be apprehensive towards anything. You feel there's someone in your university who's going to be able to help you out, reach out to them. If in case you feel someone in an institution is going to be able to help you out, reach out to them. We live in a world of media today. Social media has practically proliferated itself to nth level today. We can practically reach out to anyone and see what's the worst that's going to be happening when you're going to be reaching out to someone. The worst is that the person's not going to be responding, right? Nothing bad can happen further. Is that going to be constraining you to reach out to anyone? Of course, don't really hamper anyone's privacy. That's not what I'm talking of. But then do make your attempt to reach out to people to learn more. Your craving to learn, your ability to dive deep, and your ability to make decisions on basis of those data points is the way to go. I don't know if in case that answers your question completely, but that's how I will take my decision. I can't hear you.
Thank you. It does. And
couple of questions.
Yeah, just a second. This is the last one. So it does answer my question. And I think the last time in the last, we were talking about the cold emails and all that. So I hear that. I understand that. And I have had a time to interact with a few people like Praful Chaiwala and all that. So it was just those experiences just tell a lot. Like I've had the time to talk to him and a lot of people, but it's again, even that was a bit confusing to, to talk to somebody who's been through, completely different sense. He never touched technology, right? So all that. And one last question is that you have worked in field and you're working on desk, right? So you have done both of those things. So at a time you have created buildings and you've created whole tech hubs, and now you're just planning things. So how are those two things different inherently?
All right. One, again, to the first part of it, there's no one other than Aditya Sharma who can take calls for Aditya Sharma. Remember that. Now, everyone can come forward and give you a lot of insights, but you're the one who's going to be taking the final call. So the confusion lies on how much would Aditya like to dive deep on things and not how much are others telling you. It's you who has to grasp from what others are telling you. People are going to be overflowing with knowledge. But what is it that you would like to take away is on you, not on others. So that's one. Secondly, I didn't create buildings. Okay, I wasn't constructing anything. If in case that was a confusion anywhere, no, I did not construct buildings. The Techno Hub is an initiative that I used to take care of. It's the biggest incubation and acceleration center that exists for startups in India, which is by the government. And I used to manage that entire institution as a part of my startup promotion activity. And okay, just planning? No, planning is a lot. So see, with time you realize that the pyramid is always existent everywhere, and that pyramid has different phases, which include strategies, which include thought leadership, which include implementations. And we really have to start moving up from micromanaging things to looking at a grander size of things, of how things are going to be implemented. So at one point of time I was very happy to do something probably for a village or a block or a tehsil or a district. Then my excitement grew to doing things for an entire state. Then it grew further to doing things for an entire country. And then it grew further to how can things happen at a global level. And this happens over time. When you realize that your learnings that you have are going to be helpful to a wider horizon of people and geographies, is when your thought process also keeps on getting enhanced on what is it that you would like to do next. So when I say that I plan now and I strategize things, it's not that I don't execute it. But is it that I need to have the same level of diving deep and sitting down and doing something as I used to do 7 years back? Probably no. Things change and your implementation methodologies change and the scale changes. I always focus on scale because I feel that's the most important part of all, because that's where the impact gets measured.
Sir, so like freshers are usually very afraid of making mistakes. So I would like to hear that what career mistake you have made in your life which has given you the biggest lesson.
Yeah, mistake not so much. I'd like to take an example and see before I share my example with you. I think it is important for all of you to know that we really have to start thinking about outcomes rather than activities and intent that we have towards anything. So when we say that we are afraid of making mistakes, you're afraid of the action that's going to be happening. But what's going to be the worst outcome that can happen? Evaluate that and work backwards. If in case you really want to make that mistake or not. See, decision making on things is one of the biggest learnings that you should be having during your professional degree. Of how you take decisions is a very, very important thing. I meet a lot of people who tell me that they take their decisions only on basis of gut. What is it that they think is right or wrong? There are a lot of people who tell me they're 100% data driven. So they say that if in case we don't have 100% of data available on something, we're not going to be taking calls. But is it really needed to be an absolute left or an absolute right there? We have to think about what are one-way doors and two-way doors in life. There is an important construct that you should remember. A one-way door is that if in case the door is opened and it is closed, you can't open it again. A two-way door is when you have opened it, closed it, you can open it again. Think of the decision that you are taking or the step that you are taking. Is it a one-way door or a two-way door? If in case it's a two-way door, do we really need to worry that much? Or would you like to take the plunge? think about your decision-making process first rather than taking the decision first and thinking about it. It's going to be very important. As far as my learnings are concerned, see, when I started my engineering degree, and this was way back in 2006, I didn't really know if in case I really want to do engineering, or if in case I did that because I felt that that's the right professional way forward for me. Today, with the options that are available out there, with the knowledge that's available out there, please find out what is the best thing that's available out there for you and how are you going to be able to achieve that. Now, I'm not really saying just dream and run behind it, but do dream and think how you're going to be able to achieve that. It's very, very important for us to perceive what is it that we want to achieve and how of it. So the what is easy to think of. We all are able to do that. Where we lose out is we don't really think how. And that's exactly what I'd like to suggest to all of you. Don't stop at what, move to the how of it, and then finally think when are you going to be able to achieve it. That's the way to go. I probably did not have the same thought process way back, and that's the learning that I'd like to share with all of you. Probably that thought process is what is the key component for everyone to be on the right trajectory of decision making.
Thank you, sir. So I'll be reading some of the questions that I have received in my chat box. So one of that is, what motivated you to pursue your master's after 9 years of bachelor's?
Well, actually, I feel the learning never really stopped. And it's interesting that you're asking me this question. I really get this question a lot. It's interesting that people notice it. So I never really left the whole spirit of learning anywhere. I started with my engineering, completed my engineering, did my PMP, moved to multiple other certifications that I did, moved to multiple other technologies that I learned. And then with time, I also realized that with the whole concept that I want to tell the entire world about of how data-driven decision making is the way to go, I should myself as well be very well acquainted with how to handle and manage data. And that's when I thought, why not should I also have a master's degree? And honestly, one larger reason of me doing masters, other than understanding what data science is and how I'm going to be able to utilize data science in my way forward, is also to the fact that probably at some point of time I want to do a PhD as well. So and I needed a master's for that too. So two benefits.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, what are the most critical changes that we must make to face the future effectively?
Well, to face the future effectively, you first have to face yourself. See, are we, and this is a very, this is a thing that we all must have heard like 100 times, but I'm just going to be quoting that again. We can lie to the entire world. We can't lie to ourselves. Do remember that anything that you would like to achieve in the outer world, you first need to be 100% certain that you're going to be able to do it. Opening up a book in front of us and keeping it open to let our family know that we are studying for 16 hours whilst not really doing it, is it really going to be giving you the outcome? No. It's going to be giving you an outcome when you're actually studying for an X number of hours. As I said, don't lie to yourself. And if in case you're clear in your head on what is it that you want to achieve, you are going to be able to do that. So the only change that I would strongly recommend everyone should bring forward is that first, be absolutely self-righteous. You should know what is it that you want to do and achieve. And then think about how you're going to be able to do that. And thirdly, as I said, make steps towards it.
So Abhivyas, I'm going to unmute you. Please also on your video.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Abhay, kindly start your video first.
Okay, sir. Hello, sir.
Hi, Abhay.
Actually, sir, I want to ask that nowadays everyone say that why you chosen civil engineering as a career option. So, I mean, everyone say that there is nothing scope after civil engineering. So, can you please tell that what are the various career option except government vacancies and all in civil?
All right, that's an interesting question to ask me. I'm not a civil engineer, but
Yes,
see,
sir, but You are
No, but Abhay, let me ask you a question. Why did you select civil engineering? What's your thought there? And I will answer your question.
Yes, sir. Sure, I will definitely give answer. Sir, actually,